All right, Ashley, thank you. The time now is 6:43, and throughout the pandemic, we've heard a lot about underlying health conditions and how COVID-19 has disproportionately impacted African Americans because of them. Well, there was once a time when seeing a doctor in Baton Rouge was so hard for black people that a local doctor, Dr. Leo S. Butler, came home and turned his house into a community hospital of sorts. And now, nearly 100 years later, the house and the family is getting its permanent place in Baton Rouge history. Beyond the blighted properties and dilapidated storefronts through Old South Baton Rouge is a house on Terrace with a storied history.
This house was more than the big house on Terrace Street that has seemingly anchored the survival of this community. At least I hope it is. I like to think it has.
At a time when it was difficult for black physicians to practice medicine and even harder for black people to seek medical treatment, Dr. Leo Butler, a two-time graduate of Howard University, built this home back in 1927, using it not only as his family's home, but a community hospital and a place of healing and promise.
Where the master bedroom is now was his treatment area. There was a waiting area, of course, and the whole setup. People looked at it and saw a symbol of black achievement, but black achievement from very humble beginnings.
Two of Dr. Butler's daughters, Heidi and Jean, know the humble beginnings from which their family came. Poor, yet determined to succeed, and they had their parents' home as the perfect example of what could be.
Mother and Daddy hosted a lot of politicians, prominent people who would come into the city, because really they would call and ask, can they come over there or sleep or just be here? And so they did that. So it was always not just a family home and formerly an office, but a place that was put in service to the community.
As time and history would tell, the neighborhood started to change. As they watched things around them change, Dr. Butler had one simple ask, more like a demand for his family.
Now listen, kid. We're gonna stay in this neighborhood and stay in this house.
And for nearly 100 years, they've stayed.
Because as long as I'm living, I can never go anywhere else.
Through the ups, the downs, the moments, and the movements.
The bigger picture here is that we're telling a story, a legacy of a family that is multi-generational.
Fairleigh Jackson is the executive director of Preserve Louisiana. She's worked with the Butler family and other community partners to help keep the family story alive. Just last month, 93 years after Dr. Leo Butler built the big house on Terrace, the home received its local landmark designation, protecting its space and history in Baton Rouge for generations to come.
We're just trying to do what has to be done to let everyone know the stories, to know that, the pride is still here, and do what needs to be done so that we are able to push forward, knowing what our community once was and what we know that it can be again.
A future that's rooted in a strong and resilient past.
So the blighted areas, the storefronts gone and everything, look at them as a symbol of a past, sort of like it could be a phoenix-like inspiration for development.